Welcome or welcome back. Today we are doing the book review for Damsel by Evelyn Skye. This is going to be a Netflix movie soon, but they have also adapted it into a book. I have not read that many that goes in that order. And a very big thank you, I think I said very big thank you to NetGalley for letting me get this release early to review it for you guys. This book will come out on March 14th, and this review will probably come out close to then, maybe. But let's dive into it so you can find out all about this book. So the book description, I think it actually gives too much away in the description itself. I mean, sure, it made me want to read it, but as I was reading the book, I was, for the first quarter of it, I think, before something happens, I was just waiting. I was just waiting and waiting. I was like, so when is it gonna happen? Where is it? So it's like constantly waiting on the other shoe to drop thing. And yeah, I think it was way too much in the description. This book though follows Elodie, I think is how you pronounce her name. We're gonna say that most of the names in this is probably gonna be pronounced wrong, unless they're very common names. So Elodie though is not a duchess, because she's the Duke's daughter in a very famine-stricken land where all she wants to do is help her people survive the next winter. And it is very hard, and it's interesting, the Duke and Elodie and her mother before she passed, and slightly her little sister, they actually ride out and see their people and do hard labor to help their people build things and dig latrines. Even they make a joke in the first chapter about digging a latrine. But they actually go out and do these things for their people and help their people. In their little kingdom, it's not so much money. Money doesn't mean as much. It's bartering and trade and stuff like that. And since Elodie's mother died when she was 10, she has kind of taken over that role of making sure everyone is taken care of. And much to her stepmother's dismay that, Elodie does go out and ride horses and climb trees and just is this rough kind of lady. She's not this proper prim little lady. She is very outgoing and out there. So it was very different idea for Elodie to be approached by an envoy from a very rich kingdom that's far away with, the offer of marriage. Her father had already been talking to them, but it came as a shock to Elodie. So she agrees to go marry this prince and become their princess to be able to help her people, because this kingdom is prosperous. They have bountiful harvests, and this kingdom has agreed as part of Elodie's dowry and marriage that they will send the harvest to her. Now is where it starts to get into too much description. But in the description, it still says that the cracks of this perfect facade begin to show for Elodie, and she becomes suspicious as she begins to go through the rituals of becoming an Auroran princess. And she finds out that things aren't as wonderful as they seem. Also deviating from the description is she was only mildly suspicious. And I questioned that. I questioned that a lot, but continuing. So that is where the plot really thickens, is from these rituals and the prosperity of this kingdom and how they're so prosperous, because that's a thing. That is a thing. And as Elodie struggles through this, I'm going to leave the description there, like that Amazon should have. The main characters for this book, though, is mostly Elodie. 80% of the chapters are Elodie. The other chapters, you will get her mother-in-law, Queen Victoria. Nope. Queen Isabella. Isabella. Her sometimes. Elodie's younger sister, Floria. You'll get a few chapters from her. She's 13. She's a very, very sweet girl. Her stepmother, Lady Lucinda. And you get flashbacks. You get flashback sequences. So that is very interesting and always very informative in their chapters. Some of them will pull at your heartstrings a little bit, but very informative. So most of it is from Elodie's perspective, and she is a very bright and very can-do person. Like I said, she goes out and helps her father help their tenants. But her main thing is she will sacrifice anything to help the people of her land or her little sister. She's bright. Her hobby kind of is she creates mazes for her sister to solve. So she has a very good pictographic kind of memory to where she, can create all these ever increasing hard level mazes for her little sister, which comes into play later. Now, this chick who is intelligent and, can see people, but she does have a problem of, not exactly speaking her mind, that she does, but letting her words run away from her and saying things that might be slightly inappropriate, especially for a lady. So, because of that though, she's always kind of afraid that something she said is offending people, even when it's like completely innocent things, like she's just asking questions to the prince as they're out and about, seeing the countryside, because she's like, I want to see the land that I'm going to be ruling. I want to, help with this. So they're out and about, and she asks a question about something for the harvest and everything, and the prince gets a really weird reaction. And so she just thinks it's something she said. She's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have asked that. Maybe it's too soon. Maybe ladies here, are different. No, honey, no, he's just being weird. He's being squirrely, and that's totally suspicious, and you should try to, you should think more on that. So that was one of the things I had with the way Elodie's character was written. Because, though, that this was a movie first, the author could only do so much. The character still had to end up here. The pacing of this story was pretty fast-paced. There was those little bit of sloggy points as things, got a amount of details that were not necessary, but, then they drug out. But things are constantly happening that, like, Elodie is constantly having to do this or do that for reasons that if I say in the spoilers, I will describe that. So yes, this story is moving. There are points though where we go back and things take too long. Scenes that maybe take a bit too long to accomplish it, like we have to have a repetitive thing to get to the goal. Some of it. Like, do I think the book could have been shorter if we hadn't have done some of these things? Yes. But overall, the pacing is pretty steady, pretty kept going. Definitely a lot of things that happen that, that you're flipping through to like, oh my gosh, what happens? Because they did really good on the way they ended chapters to make you want to pick up the next, go to the next one. And then the way that sometimes it would flip to a different perspective in the next chapter, then you're like, what? Though, I will say that I believe Elodie's chapters are generally longer, as they are most of the book anyway, but all the other perspectives, I think their chapters are a bit shorter in pages, especially the flashback ones. Those are very short in pages. The world this book takes place in is medievally times, I suppose. There is not exactly magic in it, but if you can see the cover, then you will notice that there is a shape of a magical creature on there, and the magical creature and some of the others, I feel like there's maybe other creatures there mentioned in the book that do give off magic, but people do not have magic. No magic for people. Let's talk about a little bit of spoilers so I can explain what the intelligent thing was earlier. From the book cover, please leave now if you don't want to see this spoilery content, or flip forward in the video at least, time-stamped wise. There's a dragon. And in the description of the book, it even mentions there's a dragon and why the dragon comes into play. And that's why the description was like, you shouldn't have had that much. Because it literally says in the description that in order to be prosperous, every harvest, this country, Aurora, whatever, sacrifices their princess to the dragon. It says that in the description. And yeah, too much. They shouldn't have gone there because I was totally waiting on the dragon to show up for a while. And and this is where her intelligency thing came into question, because she wasn't suspicious enough, even though the prince and the queen and everybody was acting super sketchy. And then she gets to the place where she's being sacrificed to the dragon. And at first she's all mad and she's like, how could they do this? And then right after that though, she's also like, oh, it's a test of loyalty to see if I really am willing to do anything for the people. Of course I am. And she's like, okay, don't worry. I will get out of this and show them. I'll meet them at the end where they're going to, be waiting for me. And I will show them that yes, I am willing. I more understand the part later where she's like, how can my father couldn't know. My father couldn't know. Because, you love your dad. You don't want to believe that he's going to sacrifice you to a dragon. He couldn't have known. But yeah, he did. And he felt super bad about it though. Because he was more so naive in his belief. He thought it was a metaphor. He didn't think that they were actually going to push his daughter down a gorge and feed her to a dragon. And I hate the prince because of how okay with it he was. Because he legitimately thought in the one chapter I think it gave with his point of view, there's no point in fighting this. If there was any way to change it, one of my ancestors would have thought it in the last 800 years. So you're not going to try just because nobody else has been able to figure out a way around it. Yeah, the royal family was horrible. What they believed happened versus what really happened to, that you find out in the flashbacks, is completely different. And possibly entirely their fault. Yeah, that was some problems that I had with the book, with her being so smart and yet so stupid at moments at the same time. It really, really was. Complete spoilery, sure, but how is there a new baby dragon egg at the end when there's only ever the one dragon? How does she get an egg? How does she get an egg? Because who helped form this egg when there's only one dragon? Alright, so the book rating then. I ended up giving it a 3.5 stars because there was some things that just didn't make sense with the book that I wish could have been done differently. I'm sure it'll play out better in the movie, probably whenever that comes out. I'll look up when it comes out and maybe put that down here somewhere. But in the book, it just didn't. We could have played it differently. Some things had to have been done a little different, if that's the turn you wanted to take. Do I think that it was overall a good work? Like, it had a good ending. I like the resolution of it. There were questions still of how something happened at the end, but yeah. I think though that she tried to write a beautiful story. She gave the characters, maybe more so than some of the side characters and the main character, a good depth, a good backstory. I liked what happened, but there was a few things different. So if you want to check out a story where a princess is literally going to save her own life and kick a prince's butt, check this one out because it is a very different sort of fairy tale where the princess is the warrior lady, and Elodie is a good character. She is a strong character, and I just have a little bit of issues with some of the bits. But I do think this would be an interesting one to check out. Of course, I read an unfinished, uncorrected proof, whatever, and the final one might have some of these things that I had an issue with a little bit better done, polished off. We'll have to check them out and see who other people say about it, and definitely try to check out the movie. And if you check out the movie and you want more information about some of the characters, check out the book. I hope you guys are finding something awesome to read today, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.